Hello, I'm Charles Gross. Welcome to Two on the Aisle Critics Circle.
Our special guest critic today on the Critics Circle is my daughter, Miriam Gross. Welcome, Miriam.
Hello, it's so great to be here.
And today we are going to talk about the new Broadway revival of Company. This is the Stephen Sondheim, George Firth musical with a big twist. The leading role, Bobbie, normally a 35-year-old male bachelor who is surrounded by his married friends trying to marry him off, is now a female played by Katrina Lenk. And we have Patti Lupone in the Elaine Stritch role. Now, Miriam, you have an interesting perspective on the show because this is the first time you've ever seen it.
And I think there is something to be said for casting. I could tell that Bobbie was, even though Bobbie can be a gender-neutral name, I was wondering about that because Bobbie is very rarely used as a female name. But I think it really adds something having a woman in the role because there is so much more societal pressure on women to get married, especially by 35, which is the age where getting pregnant gets harder, having kids gets harder. If 35 is like that cutoff. So I think there's an added layer to it when you have Bobbie as cast as a female.
I agree. There is certainly something to that. This is directed by Marianne Elliott, who kind of has an Alice in Wonderland take on it. You see her kind of going through a rabbit hole, trying to get into the beautiful garden. And the number 35, there are a lot of 35 Easter eggs here and there all around the show.
All throughout the show.
And I really enjoyed that part. I think in general, I don't know if the show works quite as well with a woman as Bobbie as with a man. There are certain cracks in the storyline that are a little more apparent in this case. And
again, I haven't seen it with Bobbie as a man, so I don't have that comparison. But I actually think it worked as coming in as someone totally new. I think it worked very well as
I agreed.
As a woman. I think, the only reason I thought that the name that Bobbie might have originally been a male role is because the name was Bobbie. If the name had been anything, even like Skylar, which is I know more as a female name even than as a male name, but anything that was more traditionally gender neutral, I would not have known at all that Bobbie was originally a male.
Right, and there is one more change that they've made. One of the couples is gay and male, so there was a character called Amy. She is now Jamie, beautifully played by Matt Doyle. And he has the number not getting married, which is a very hard number to put off. But he does it fabulously. It is a highlight of the show.
You know what? Actually, that was the one part of the show that was a little bit spoiled for me because I had seen a version of that number on YouTube by, I can't remember the woman who did it. But she did it so fabulously well. I'll try and find the name and maybe you can flash it up on the screen. She did it so phenomenally well that even though I think he did do a very good job with the number, in comparison, I liked the one I had seen on YouTube better. So I wasn't as impressed as I maybe otherwise would have been.
Okay, well, I've seen other people do the number and I thought he really did it well. The one change that I didn't think worked as well is when the original production opened, we would have called her a steward or a stewardess, now a flight attendant. And initially that was April. Now it's Andy. This is someone who Bobbie is dating and played by Claiborne Elder. I don't think April/Andy is kind of a dumb blonde, and I don't think it quite works as well with a man in the role as it did with a woman.
Honestly, I think it works very well. I haven't seen it. I can kind of picture the dumb blonde stereotype that you're thinking of, but I think, honestly, it works really well. I think they did a really good job pulling it off. It's, again, one of those places where I'm like, yeah, I can see how that role was originally meant for a woman as opposed to a man, but I think it worked perfectly.
Right. How did you like Katrina Lenk in the role? She was Bobbie.
I thought she was very good. I mean, overall, I think Company is just not the show for me. I think it was an excellent production. I thought all the acting was stupendous. I thought it was a really good production, but I didn't really enjoy it that much. And I think that might just be that the show is not my type of show, I think that it might just not be to my tastes.
Let me just talk about Katrina Lenk for a minute. I enjoyed her performance. Oh, the interesting thing is the thing I enjoyed about her performance the most was her reactions to the other members of the cast, when she actually had to step forward and sing and do something. And she is an incredible performer. I mean, I saw her in the band's visit, and she was one of the best things about the show.
I definitely agree with you for that. I think that the times I liked her best was when she was playing off the other characters. Yeah. I think when she was alone, those were her weakest points.
Yeah, which is interesting because she's a very strong performer. Although the fact is, a lot of the importance of Bobbie is reacting to these characters. She is the outsider looking in. That's true. Let's finally we have to get to the elephant in the room or on the stage, Patti Lupone, in the role that is fondly remembered for Elaine Stritch. And she sings
The Ladies Who Lunch,
one of the Sondheim's most famous tunes. And
that number was very odd to me. It stuck out and not in a good way. I didn't understand what it was doing in the story. I didn't understand why it was in Act 2 as opposed to Act 1, where it seemed to would have made more sense. And I didn't really understand the message it was trying to send.
You know what? That is exactly the feeling that I got when I first saw the show, or in fact, I felt everything that song covered had already been covered in the show's script. It's a dirty little secret. The song is not necessary, but it is such a popular number, and it was a big deal when Elaine Stritch sang it, and it's an equally big deal with Patti Lupone singing it. Patti Lupone, vocally, I'd say, is as different from Elaine Stritch as Katrina Lenk is from Dean Jones, who was the original Bobbie on Broadway. But even so, I don't see how you could do the show without it. It's a showstopper, and it's necessary.
I understand that. It's a very famous song, for certainly. Okay. I just think it belongs in Act 1.
You may be right. All in all, really excellent cast. I loved the production immensely. Do I think it works as well with a woman as it does with a man? Honestly, I do not. But even so, I had a wonderful time. And in the playbill countdown, 1 to 5, 5 being amazing, 1 being, I'm going to give it a full 5 playbills.
I'm going to give it 3 playbills. Because I think it was a great production. I just think it wasn't for me. So it was average.
And now, the role of Leslie Hoban Blake, normally played by pretty much every critic in this city, tonight will be played by Leslie Hoban Blake. Come on down.
Pretty much every critic in the city, every friend, every card we ever had to call in, man, was called in for this. Hello, I'm back.
Since Miriam and I take that segment, you have been able to go back to the theater.
Indeed.
You are going to give us your view of Company. This is Leslie's first time back to the theater in over 2 years, and we got her.
And yes, right. They were all after me, but you got me. So here's the thing. Miriam, I said to you when Miriam was going to do sit in for me, she's just a kid. I mean, she's in her 20s, but she's just a kid. And maybe she won't get the fact that at 35, blah, blah, blah. And maybe we need a more adult critic, blah, blah, blah. Well, Miriam, darling, I just want to tell you, you were right. I was so eager. I was so waiting. I kept putting up the card for Company all those months that we were in pandemic. I can't wait to see this. I can't wait to see this. And I don't know what went wrong. I could say it was the direction. I could say it was the casting of Katrina Lenk. I could say it was the change of the sex from a guy to a girl. I could say all of that. And maybe it was all of that. I don't know. But it was, except for 1 or 2 numbers, it was flat, stale and unprofitable, as Shakespeare would say, flat, stale and unprofitable. Not funny, not interesting, didn't work for me. I love Katrina Lenk. I love her in everything I've ever seen her in, starting with Indecent. I loved her in The Band's Visit, and nada. First of all, the role of Bobbie, whether it's a guy or a girl, is totally a reactive role. Until he or she gets to that big last number, Being Alive, all he or she does is go, really? Wow, you don't say. It's that kind of role. And as a former actress, let me tell you, that's a terrible role to have to play. And Katrina Lenk doesn't have that. I don't know what it takes. But Raul Esparza had it when I saw it. I didn't see the original, but Raul Esparza had it. So it's just, I'm so sorry. I wanted to like it with all my heart. Obviously, Patti Lupone works. Patti Lupone can stand on stage and do nothing, and people will stand and cheer. Because there's something about Patti Lupone that's just, it's her Patti Lupone-ness, And Katrina Lenk, it really is. And that's all I have to say. I don't need to beat it to death. I didn't care for the grayness of it. I understood the Alice in Wonderland, the big seeds, the small set, but and it takes on a very different and a very nasty meaning when it's a woman's biological clock versus a guy who just doesn't feel like getting married, who's having a great time out there being a bachelor. Very different the way they're playing it. So that's my review. But it's nice to be back. They gave me a lovely seat. I was so comfortable.
1 to 5 playbills.
Oh dear God. 4.5 for Patti Lupone.
Okay.
3 for the rest. 3 for the play. Three for the staging and what I saw.
Okay. Well, as you saw when I discussed this with Miriam, my feelings were very different.
Anyway, I'm back. I hope that they're glad I'm back. I hope they don't mind I'm back.
And we will be seeing you
on the aisle.
Phone rings, door chimes, in comes company. No strings, good times, just drums company. Late nights, quick bites, party games, deep talks, long walks, telephone calls. Thoughts shared, souls bared, private names, all those photos up on the wall.